It's quite something, isn't it? You look around, you see some people hitting their 60s, maybe 70s, and, well, they seem to be really struggling. Their get up and go just isn't there anymore.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast. Then you see others cruising through their 80s, even 90s, still sharp, still active.
Totally. So the big question hangs there. What makes that difference? Is it really just, hitting the genetic jackpot?
That really is the core question, isn't it? And what's so compelling as we dive into chapter 1 of the Ultimate Anti-Aging Guide is how strongly it argues that our lifestyle choices, they have a much bigger impact than most of us realize.
The far bigger impact.
Exactly. We're not just sort of passengers on this aging journey. We actually have quite a bit of control.
Absolutely. And that's really what this deep dive is all about. We're unpacking this first chapter, and it basically lays out a blueprint, right, for aging well.
It really does. It looks at how our everyday choices, how we move, our energy levels, the food we eat, even the toxins we encounter, and our brain health, how all these things weave together.
They shape how we actually experience getting older.
And it makes you think, who is this really for? Often we frame anti-aging as something for, well, older adults.
Right, something you start thinking about later. But the guide flips that idea on its head pretty quickly.
It does, because while these principles are definitely crucial if you're already noticing changes, they're arguably even more powerful for younger people.
Like building a really solid foundation early on for the future.
Precisely. It's about thinking proactively about our health span, the quality of those years, not just the quantity, shaping the future instead of just reacting.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear then. We want to pull out the most actionable stuff from chapter 1. The things you listening can actually start doing, like today.
Yeah, the goal is to empower everyone to approach aging with, well, strength, purpose, and real vitality.
Right. Let's jump in. First up, mobility. Something so fundamental.
And what the chapter does so well here is challenge that common idea, that almost ingrained belief, that stiff joints and aches are just inevitable, part of getting old.
That our bodies just wear out like old machines.
Exactly. But the guide argues, pretty convincingly, that the real culprits are often things we can influence, like being inactive for long periods.
Or poor posture day after day.
And that constant low-level chronic stress that so many people deal with. These are the bigger drivers, it suggests.
When you break it down mechanically, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah?
Spending years sitting desk, car, couch, it leads to muscle imbalances, doesn't it?
It does. Tissues tighten up, the structures supporting our joints weaken, and that makes us way more susceptible to getting hurt.
Sometimes from really small things, too.
Absolutely. And that can kick off this negative loop, right? You feel pain, so you move differently to avoid it.
You compensate, putting stress elsewhere, developing weird movement habits.
Then suddenly you're dealing with ongoing discomfort, or maybe you start hunching over or develop a limp.
But here's the hopeful part, the really empowering bit from the chapter. This decline, it's not necessarily inevitable.
Not at all. The key message isn't to move less because it hurts, but actually to move more and, crucially, to focus on moving well, purposefully.
Right. The guide really hammers home the need for movement that's intentional, balanced across muscle groups, and done consistently.
And it points to experts in functional strength, in mobility, who are showing that effective training works at pretty much any age.
So what kind of things are we talking about? What does the guide suggest?
Well, it gives practical examples. Regular resistance training, which maybe isn't the first thing people think of for mobility, but it's key.
Alongside things like walking, maybe running if that's your thing, and dedicated stretching.
Exactly. And these aren't just about stopping the decline. The guide suggests they can actually improve physical performance as we age.
It's interesting, too, how it talks about the shift in our movement habits over time.
Yeah, when we're younger, activity is often just built in. Play, sports, just being busy.
But then middle age hits. Maybe work becomes more sedentary, life gets busier, less time.
And our bodies just don't get used as much. They become underutilized.
And the guide connects that lack of use directly to things we often just blame on aging itself.
Like the slower metabolism, losing muscle mass, joints feeling stiff, feeling tired all the time.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if a lot of that isn't just time passing, but a direct result of, well, disuse?
It's a powerful reframe. It puts a lot more control back in our court, and the book brings in epigenetics here, which is fascinating.
Ah, yes, the idea that our lifestyle can actually influence how our genes behave.
Precisely. It's not changing the genes themselves, but changing their expression. Healthy choices, moving well, eating well, they send signals to the body. Signals for regeneration, for repair.
Not signals for breakdown.
Right. It's like our genes are the blueprint, but our lifestyle, that's the foreman deciding how to build based on that blueprint.
So it's really about influencing our health right down to the cellular level for the long haul. Okay, let's switch gears from movement to energy, that feeling of vitality.
Yeah, the chapter calls energy our inner battery of youth, which is a great way to put it. And it tackles that common idea that feeling tired all the time is just normal as you get older.
Which it argues isn't necessarily true.
Not at all. It stresses that staying active is one of the best ways to actually recharge that battery, to fight fatigue, no matter your age.
And it's all connected, right? The guide shows the links between exercise, diet, heart health, circulation.
And those tiny powerhouses in our cells,
Right,
the mitochondria.
Right, the energy factories.
Okay.
Tell us more about that connection.
Well, the mitochondria are responsible for converting glucose, sugar, into ATP. That's the actual energy currency our body uses for everything.
Okay.
And while it's true their function tends to decline with age, the book highlights something amazing. Regular exercise can genuinely revitalize them.
Not just make them work better, but maybe even increase their numbers.
Exactly, increase their density. The guide contrasts the boundless energy kids seem to have with the fatigue many adults feel, and suggests a big part of that difference is mitochondrial health.
That makes a lot of sense.
And there's research backing this up. If you maintain higher energy levels through activity, it actually helps you keep being active. It creates this positive feedback loop.
A virtuous cycle of energy, essentially.
Yeah, and it's not just about immediate energy. Endurance training, for instance, can boost your resting metabolism.
So you burn more energy even when you're not exercising.
Right. And it improves how your body uses fat for fuel. This helps fight that metabolic slowdown people often associate with aging.
And how does nutrition tie into this energy picture?
Well, the chapter points out that good nutrition, plenty of antioxidants, healthy fats like omega-3s, staying hydrated creates the perfect environment inside your cells.
An environment where mitochondria can really thrive and pump out energy efficiently.
Exactly. And get this, there's a statistic in the book that's pretty striking. Moderate to intense exercise might slow aging by as much as a decade.
Wow, a decade.
Yeah. And a big reason for that seems to be preserving mitochondrial function and supporting those cellular repair processes.
So the takeaway on energy is, don't just accept fatigue.
Pretty much. See it as a signal. A
Right.
signal to maybe move more consistently, make smarter food choices, tweak those lifestyle habits, take control.
Okay, which brings us very neatly to the next cornerstone, nutrition itself.
And the guide is really clear here. Our bodies are constantly renewing themselves, rebuilding, and nutrition, that's the raw material.
The building blocks.
Exactly. Poor nutrition speeds up aging signs, both inside and out, but smart nourishment, that can unlock vitality, youthfulness.
It's powerful thinking. Every meal, every snack is a chance to influence that rebuilding process.
So what are the key strategies the chapter lays out for longevity through nutrition? First big one, load up on antioxidant-rich foods. The guide explains oxidative stress damage from free radicals is a major driver of aging. Antioxidants are our defense.
Okay, so what kind of foods are we talking about? Give us some examples.
Think color, berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. They're packed with things like anthocyanins and vitamin C, great for protecting cells.
Leafy greens too, right? Spinach, kale.
Absolutely. Full of vitamins A, C, and K, crucial for skin, bones. And don't forget nuts and seeds, almonds, chia, flax seeds. They give you vitamin E, selenium, good for skin elasticity, immune function.
Got it. What else? Hydration came up with energy.
And it's critical here too. Essential for keeping skin elastic, joints lubricated, metabolism working properly. Aim for that classic 8 glasses of water a day.
Or more, depending on activity. And foods count too.
Definitely. Things like cucumbers, oranges, watermelon, they add to your fluid intake while giving you nutrients.
Okay, so that's the good stuff to add. What about things to limit? The guide mentions inflammatory foods.
Yes, this is important. Certain foods can actually accelerate aging processes. Refined sugars are a big one.
Why sugars?
They contribute to something called glycation, which damages collagen and elastin, the proteins that keep skin firm. Leads to wrinkles, sagging.
Oh, okay. And fried foods.
Also on the list, often contain unhealthy trans fats linked to inflammation, heart problems, generally best to minimize.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's not all about restriction. Healthy fats are crucial, aren't they?
Absolutely essential. For brain health, hormone balance, healthy skin. Think avocado's great source of monounsaturated fats. Vitamin E,
And omega-3s.
definitely, found in fatty fish like salmon. They're fantastic for reducing inflammation, supporting heart health. Really important.
And the chapter also mentions collagen, supporting our natural production.
It does. Collagen is key for skin firmness, joint health. The guide suggests things like bone broth or collagen supplements can help.
Or focusing on foods that help your body make its own collagen.
Right, vitamin C is vital for that process. So citrus fruits, peppers, berries, again, they all contribute.
So the bottom line with nutrition seems to be, every bite counts. It's an investment.
It truly is an investment in a healthier, more vital future. An opportunity, really, to slow down aging from the inside out.
Okay, so we've talked about movement, energy, nutrition. Now, what about the things we're exposed to? Toxins, cell damage, heart issues.
Yeah, this section brings into focus those sort of silent agers, the everyday things, pollutants, chemicals, even just chronic stress.
Things we might not even think about daily.
Exactly. But they can damage cells, increase inflammation system-wide, and really impact our cardiovascular system.
And the guide connects this internal stuff to visible signs, too, like wrinkles, fatigue.
It does. It shows how that internal wear and tear can manifest externally.
So what can we do? How do we fight back against these silent agers, according to the chapter?
Strategy 1 is about daily detoxification, supporting our body's natural cleansing processes.
How do we do that?
Well, exercise helps sweating, eliminates toxins, boosts circulation. Drinking plenty of water, maybe including herbal teas like green tea or dandelion root, which have antioxidants and support the liver.
And fiber.
Crucial. Fiber-rich foods, whole grains, fruits, vegetables help bind toxins in the digestive tract and get them out.
Okay, support detox. What's next?
Avoiding harmful substances seems obvious, but it's key. So eliminating smoking is huge. Limiting alcohol, too.
Because they directly introduce toxins and increase that oxidative stress we talked about.
Precisely. And managing chronic stress is also part of this category. Using techniques like meditation, deep breathing, yoga.
To lower cortisol, reduce inflammation. That makes sense.
Yeah, stress management is really non-negotiable for healthy aging. And the third piece here is directly supporting heart health.
How so?
Ensuring good magnesium intake is mentioned found in leafy greens, nuts, seeds. Magnesium is important for blood vessel health.
And exercise pops up again?
Of course. Regular exercise strengthens the heart muscle itself, improves circulation, lowers the risk of heart disease significantly.
So it's a multi-pronged approach.
Mm-hmm.
Help the body detox, avoid putting harmful stuff in, manage stress, and actively support the heart.
Exactly. It's about empowering the body to heal and rejuvenate, pushing back against those silent aging factors.
Right, which leads us to the final area covered in Chapter 1, something incredibly important that goes beyond just physical health,
Yeah.
brain health.
Yes. The guide really broadens the picture here. Aging well isn't just about looking young. It's about staying sharp, focused, mentally clear.
And it challenges the idea that things like brain fog, forgetfulness, maybe losing motivation, that these are just inevitable.
It absolutely does. It reframes them as signals. Signs that our brain needs better care, more attention, not just unavoidable decline.
So what does the guide recommend for preserving cognitive vitality? What are the strategies?
Well, number one, perhaps unsurprisingly by now, is physical exercise.
Again, it seems to benefit everything.
It really does. Both aerobic exercise and strength training boost blood flow to the brain. This encourages neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells, and supports overall cognitive function.
That mind-body connection is just so clear. What else?
Lifelong learning. Actively challenging your brain.
Like learning new things.
Exactly. Picking up a new skill, learning a language, taking up a challenging hobby, these things boost neuroplasticity.
The brain's ability to adapt and rewire itself.
Precisely. It keeps the mind agile, flexible. Think of it as keeping your brain's software updated. Use it or lose it, basically.
Makes sense. And I bet nutrition plays a role here, too.
Absolutely. Brain-healthy nutrition is critical. Omega-3 fatty acids, like we mentioned from fatty fish, are vital for the actual structure and function of brain cells.
And antioxidants again?
Yes. Foods rich in antioxidants, blueberries, turmeric, walnuts are mentioned, have neuroprotective qualities. They help shield brain cells from damage.
So it's a combination. Exercise for blood flow and cell growth, mental challenges for plasticity, and the right nutrients for protection and structure.
That's the essence of it. Integrating these strategies isn't just about holding on to cognitive function. It's about actively enhancing your quality of life, staying engaged and vibrant mentally as you age.
Okay, so wrapping up this look at Chapter 1. The overarching message seems incredibly clear.
It really is. It boils down to this. How we age is determined far less by the clock ticking and far more by our consistent lifestyle choices.
Across all these areas we've touched on, mobility, energy, nutrition, dealing with toxins, keeping our brains healthy,
They all interconnect, and they're largely within our sphere of influence.
which is such an empowering thought, isn't it?
Mhm.
We're not just passively getting older. We have real agency here.
A significant amount of control over the process. It's not predetermined.
So maybe the question for everyone listening is, based on all this, what's one small step, one thing you can start doing maybe today or tomorrow to begin aging with more strength, more clarity, more control?
That's a great prompt. And if you want to really dive deeper, get the full picture, explore all the strategies in much more detail.
Then the next step is clear. We really encourage you to click the link that you'll find in the description for this deep dive. That'll take you to the full Ultimate Anti-Aging Guide.
Yeah, think of this chapter we discussed as laying the foundation. The full guide builds on it significantly, offering a much more detailed roadmap.
Absolutely. It's packed with actionable insights across all the chapters.
So definitely check that out.
Take that first step, click the link, grab the guide, and just remember, aging doesn't have to be about decline. It truly can be a vibrant, energetic, fulfilling time of life.
When you approach it with the right knowledge, and importantly, take the right action.